So any other issues you're going to highlight?
Many others, transportation. I mean, we are dealing with a south side, at least the south side portion of the ward, a poor ward, and when you're poor and when you're a poor worker, problems multiply. Poor neighborhood, poor, low income, low taxes, then that means lower budget for the public schools. It means transportation that is really crappy. If you take the pink line from downtown and arrive at 18th Street at 7 p.m., there are no buses anymore. So you have to walk and walk and walk endlessly because there are no buses. So this kind of problems. It's all related to poverty, I think. Poor worker means, again, poor education, poor transportation, poor housing, no home ownership, etc., etc. So yeah, there are, like, as you said, before, 50 problems maybe. But all of them are related to the conditions of this working population, and we want to center on that and start spreading from there and attacking the other problems second. Your conditions in the workplace have to be first.
What about with education? Have there been any school closings in Pilsen?
No,
None.
and they don't close schools in Pilsen because they know the people would raise up and raise hell in the city of Chicago. I mean, we just saw it at the Board of Education meeting, when they tried approving their new budget, slashing public education and giving more millions of dollars to charters. Well, that was a mini explosion. If they close any school in Pilsen, there's going to be a big explosion. Nevertheless, that doesn't mean education is first quality. That doesn't mean education has the necessary budget. And actually, 54% of all elementary school children in Pilsen go to private schools already. That's, they are not closing the public schools, but they are promoting like crazy the private education. So they are giving vouchers and they are opening up more and more charter schools because of this big scam with United Neighborhood Organizations, UNO, which is every year they get more and more millions of dollars for privatized public schools.
When you're on the city council, will you recommend closing charter schools? Or?
An absolute moratorium on charters. I think the way in which they are handled has to be reviewed. The basic definition of charter is we give you the money and you administer the school. And we have seen the many cases of corruption, of very low quality education, of harassing workers, which in this case are the teachers. It is very recent that teachers in charter schools organized and unionized. So we have to put a moratorium on all on that, review the whole system of charter schools.
Okay. What about for public safety? That's an issue that touches every part of the city. We've all seen the headlines. And what do you think about how this administration is handling public safety?
Well, there are two theories. One is put more cops in the streets, and that's a dangerous proposition somehow, because we have seen also the many cases in which police corrupts, and instead of having the gangbangers running around, what you have is, a system where the gangbanger starts paying off for protection to the police department. I'm not going to accuse anyone in particular, but we have seen that. The other part of the theory is that it is enough just to have enough police cars running around for crime to go down. I don't think so. I think crime is also based on poverty conditions, on lack of resources, lack of jobs, and well-paid jobs. $8.25 an hour part-time jobs, that doesn't cut it, for anybody. So if a young guy is enticed to earn $300 or $400 in an evening selling drugs, he's going to be selling drugs. We have to get rid of that kind of system, and we have to recreate a system where you can actually live decently having a minimum wage, so-called minimum wage paid job. It has to be a full-time job, possibility to organize a labor union, have other benefits. It used to be like that in the 50s, in the 60s. And the crime wasn't that bad. So why now crime is like it is? Well, check out.
See a
again
direct
your economics.
relationship between lack of jobs and crime.
Absolutely, and lack of after-school programs, lack of more resources. I keep insisting, a school building is a building that stays there 24 hours with electricity, with water, with heat, with whatever. Why don't we try using that building for 16 hours a day instead of just 8 hours a day?
Well, that makes a lot of sense. The city is, the city's rich, right? It's getting richer, but the
Yes.
city government, it seems to be going broke. And why is that? And what would your approach be to fixing it?
Well, the budget is a very amazing thing. You are handled 1,800 pages of numbers, and nobody has the capacity to put a counter proposal together. The current system pretty much is that you vote yes, and then you ask, okay, what's my share? What do I administer? That's how the aldermen do it. We are trying to really tap into the possibility of presenting an alternative budget. It's going to be a humongous effort, but we are going to the universities asking people, really get together, 30 or 40 economists, and take a good look at a real City of Chicago budget to benefit the majority of people, not a minority, and not a budget, that contains parking tickets and I don't know what, more tickets and the other ticket and red light tickets and, ticketing everybody is the way to bring.
It's a way of taxing the average person.
Yeah, exactly. Without saying taxes again, let's take a real look at property taxes. How does that really work? I know taxes are never really based on the market value of the house. But if, market values have gone down, we should be paying a lot less in taxes. But then at the same time, the problem is that if we pay less, our public schools are going to get less and less money. So it's a vicious circle that we are going to try to
Are you recommending any new revenue sources?
Not really, other than taking away from the big corporations the millions upon millions of dollars of profits they are making and returning that to the workers. $15 an hour minimum wage would put millions and millions of dollars into people's pockets, and that, of course, generates revenue in taxes. You want a new source? Well, that's the source. Instead of the McDonald's president making $9,000 an hour, well, let's distribute a little bit of the wealth, don't we?
Sounds like a good. What about the TIFs? Do you think, the tax increment financing, do you think there's some kind of pot of gold at the end of the TIF rainbow?
It is a pot of gold, but it's not being given back to the people. It's not like you can go to the end of the rainbow and just get the pot of gold. The pot of gold is hidden. The way in which it works and the way in which the mayor controls it is pretty shady. They don't give you information in the city of Chicago about how it works. Why? But the basic problem is why the Home Depot, which is part of the ward, was given $5 million, just to be there. Why not recreating the 10 or 20 or 50 small shops, which in the end all combined can have the same materials Home Depot has, and they are all neighborhood owned, family owned. Why not? Why the TIF is not used to promote small businesses, small economies who grow and disperse and help the neighborhood instead of bringing big corporations.
Which are
we have
sucking the money out.
McDonald's, we have Subways, we have Dunkin' Donuts. No, I want to see again the Juan Burritos, which had to close in 2009 or 2010 because of lack of fund and support and whatever. I want the TIF be used for that, not to, for these big corporations.
Okay, let's move on to the campaign. Tell us how's the campaign going so far, and what's your big plan to win?
Well, the big plan to win is already in motion. It's been for 40 years, I think.
Oh,
I'm
really?
a community activist. Our basic plan is just to let people we are running and what's our platform. We had a very low voter participation in the elections here, and I attribute that mostly to not having good enough candidates. I don't know if I'm good enough, but I hope I am. I mean, people know me. people,
You think your message is going to motivate some of the
Absolutely,
non-voter,
yes.
registered non-voters?
Yes, because it's not changing one guy in a business suit for another guy in a business suit. It's not changing, the current alderman for some small business owner who's going to do business in the city of Chicago. No, this is about changing and really taking a representative of the working class to city council. What we can do after that, I'm not exactly sure. For one thing, cutting the alderman's salary in half. That's one of the things we have been saying all over. Half the salary of the alderman should be given back to the community to subsidize, to maintain the operation of a worker center, that is working day in and day out to organize workers and to see how can we, improve the situation from the bottom up and not from the top down.
Who else is running that you know of that you...
Well, we have the current alderman. We have the guy who used to be his chief of staff and had a fallout with the alderman. Don't ask me about it. It's like kind of secret. Nobody talks about it. But his own chief of staff or former chief of staff is running against him. And then there was
always a bad sign.
I know.
Yeah.
And then there was the intent, but so far we really haven't seen them running. One of the community organizations in Pilsen tapping into electoral politics. And I don't know. I mean, I wish them luck, but we haven't seen them around really.
Now, Pilsen has a lot of small businesses.
Yes.
What's your message to the small business
Not as
owners?
many as they used to be.
Oh.
And our basic message is we have to support small business, really small, really family-operated business. You are even exempt of so many things if you are a family operated, not only owned. I mean, all owners are members of families, but, really family-operated business, you will receive support. You don't have to distrust socialism. Socialism is not about closing down Juan Tacos, it's about supporting Juan Tacos. This is part of the economy and we understand it. So yes,
it's an interesting approach.
McDonald's, Subway, and you have to worry because we are demanding $15 an hour minimum wage. Small community-owned, family-owned, family-run operation, you deserve the tax breaks the other corporations are getting.
Mm-hmm. What about endorsements? Do you see any endorsements on the horizon for your campaign from unions or community groups?
Yeah, it's still a little bit early. Mostly, most of the people endorse or the organizations endorse after you get in the ballot. They don't want to run the risk of endorsing someone who doesn't get into the ballot. But I have my own union, which is the National Writers Union, backing me. One of my former unions, NABET, the National Association of Broadcast Technicians and Employees, because I organized one of my workplaces, Univision, and I have United Auto Workers local already endorsing pretty much. We are going to the CWA convention. We are going to
Communication Workers.
Communication Workers of America, that's right. We are going to them. We are talking to the new IPO created by SEIU, Illinois, Indiana Healthcare, the CTU, and AFSME. The three of them are together in this, and we are going to talk to UFCW, Local 881, because we are friends. I mean, we have organized with them for the longest time.
So we'll see how that works out. Okay. Do you have an office and a campaign manager?
We are about to open an office. I just signed the contract yesterday. So we will be opening a campaign office by the beginning of August. And it will work as a worker center. This is not about February 24 election day. No, this is about today. Your wages are being stolen. Come over to the campaign office and we will help you. We will try to organize workers and we will fight for better conditions in the ward since the day we open the office.
So once you're in the city council, let's assume that happens, how are you going to relate to the other aldermen? And what are you going to do with pressures from the mayor? And there is a progressive caucus. And so.
There are actually supposed to be two progressive caucus, but I line up with only one of them. Yeah. I'm going to reinforce them definitely. I think they can use more help. And of course, I will again try to bring the vision of helping the majority of the people, not the minority. So we may end up having the record of no votes against Rahm Emanuel. Hopefully, we won't even have Rahm Emanuel there, but maybe
That's
Karen
hopefully.
Lewis.
And by the way, Karen Lewis looks like she's going to run.
Yes,
what
sir.
effect will that have on your campaign?
Well, we will have to become the Latino leg in Karen Lewis' campaign. I think she doesn't have that much presence in the Latino community, so we will supply her for that, with that vision.
She should be happy to hear that.
Absolutely, and we will be happy to do it.
There's a number of progressive challengers in the city council. Do you see yourself possibly as part of a progressive left slate?
Yes, I think winning a socialist aldermanic position in the city of Chicago is going to promote, the idea that yes, socialism has a place, has a space, is there. We have not used it, we have not tried to tap into it, but we can do it. Kshama Shawan won in Seattle. We were like this short of a victory in Minnesota. Winning in Chicago may mean that next year and next year and next year, Houston and Dallas and New York and who knows, Boston are going to see, socialist campaigns going on. Now, this is going to be up and down and up and down, 1 year here, 1 year there, and it will come back eventually to the city of Chicago in 4 more years. And we will have not 1, but maybe 5 or 10 socialist.
So your campaign could have implications far beyond the 25th ward.
Absolutely, nationwide implications.
Okay.
Yes.
All right then, is there any final thoughts that you have for the people?
Support the campaign. It doesn't matter where you are. Rahm Emanuel receives money from all over the United States. We can receive them too. And this is a socialist campaign. This is not Jorge Mujica's campaign. I didn't wake up one day and decided I'm going to be alderman. This is the Chicago Socialist Campaign, and I am just the candidate. But you should support the Chicago Socialist Campaign.
Okay, and if they do want to do that, how should they do it?
VoteMujica.org.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bill Bianchi from Pilsen and the La Katrina Cafe Patio.